You're listening to In Healthy Company with Dr. Tim Stevenson. In this podcast, we're all about mental health and general well-being. We'll be interviewing guests and providing a safe space for them to discuss any mental health issues. For me, holistic health is far more than just not being sick. Please remember we're unable to give health advice on an individual basis. However, please do feel free to email us with your issues at wellbeing@thehealthycompany.com, and we may deal with them on the show. Thanks for being in healthy company with me. I'm Dr. Tim Stevenson, and my interview tonight is with my own daughter, Laura, who's a teacher and a primary school teacher who I have seen grow as an individual, obviously as her father, but grow as a teacher and grow in confidence in the way she handles day-to-day pressures and the day-to-day pressures of teaching. I hope you find something in this show that will be of help to yourself and that you find it as interesting as I did in making it. It's lovely having my lovely daughter Laura here today. She finished school last night, came home and came to stay with us for the weekend, and it was like the end of a marathon, wasn't it, Laura?
Should we mention that I'm not currently at school, that I am a teacher?
Oh, that's a good point, actually. That is a good point. Yes, Laura, my daughter, is a teacher, yes. So the whole point of doing this podcast is to talk about the pressures that teachers feel and how Laura, as a teacher, and some of her friends have found ways to deal with that and to face the pressures. So, Laura, it is lovely to have you here. We had a great meal last night, your favourite fish. And we said we would do a recording today, and I've been wanting to record you for the last year, but you've been too busy. So anyway, Laura, lovely to have you here. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk is because, you know, I've known you've been a teacher now for 7 years full time, and I've known that there have been times of real pressure. And obviously your mum, my lovely wife Jackie, is a teacher, and my mum was a teacher, my sister's a teacher, so I know the pressures of the profession. But there's a lot of positive bits of it as well, and the whole thing about In Healthy Company is trying to look at how people deal with things and how they find the positive aspects of teaching. And you still really enjoy teaching, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone has to have that passion that they get along with children. They love working with children, and at the end of the day, that is what we're there for, to make sure that they are growing as individuals and they succeed. So that's why I got into teaching.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember taking you to Plymouth to your first interview, and you loved it from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, tell me a wee bit about those times when you were feeling under pressure, and you know, those early years of teaching. But it's not just the early years of teaching; it's what a lot of people are feeling. I think there's that YouGov. You told me about that YouGov survey that said that 83% of teachers feel stressed, and 32% of them feel quite severely stressed. So you know, it's interesting to know, what are the stressors, what are the things that cause it, and how do you face them and how do you deal with them and, you know, still find a rewarding job?
Well, I think schools in general are quite a stressful environment. If, you know, you've got so many plates to spin, metaphorically, you are constantly thinking about your next lesson, your marking, your assessment, your preparation. There is just so much going on all the time, and it is very easy to get swept up in those busy days and just to feel really overwhelmed with it all. And you do have to keep reminding yourself at times that you are here for these children and you do enjoy working with children, but there's so much more that people don't realise that a teacher has to go through on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, you've got your head and your deputy and your governors who are your bosses, but you also have the parents, and we love parents, but they can, you know, they obviously want the best for their children, and keeping 30 sets of parents happy is challenging. And then you've got your 30 children in your class to keep happy all the time, whilst making sure that they're succeeding in maths, literacy, Spanish, PE, art, you know, every single subject. So a primary school is a stressful environment, and that spinning plates metaphor is so true. And as with any profession, if you feel one of those plates starts to drop or starts to wobble, you can feel stressed and you can feel like you're not doing your best job.
And I'd like sometimes to change the word stress round to feeling uncomfortable or feeling, you know, that there's a bit of pressure. and sometimes the pressure can be positive and enjoyable in the rush round of organising a, you do the music in the school and organising all of that as well. Can
and
be
I think
fun,
that is the thing. There are a lot of different pressures. You've got your pressures of Ofsted against your school and making sure that your school are prepared for that, and your pressures of making sure your books are up to date. There's pressures, all the changes in government. Your curriculum could change, and then all of your lessons would change. Your planning pressures, your pressures of keeping your children happy, your children engaged. Your pressures with your parents. There are a lot of pressures to keep on top of.
So what has changed for you? I mean, I know that over the last year or 18 months, your level of happiness and comfort at work has increased massively. Tell me a wee bit about that, and some of the techniques you use for that.
Now, well, I'm very, very fortunate in my role at my school that we have been part of a big change with marking, and there's been a lot of studies around marking. Schools, teachers are completely exhausted, and that was one of my biggest pressures with marking. You can have 7 or 8 lessons within a day, and with each of those there could be a book for each child. If you've got 30 in your class, it's not long before you start to feel really pressured into making sure that every single book is marked, and it's very easy if you have one night off to fall behind. And I've been very, very fortunate that our school has changed our marking policy into a more of a immediate feedback, which doesn't necessarily mean that I am putting pen to paper in every single child's book every single day. So I'm very, very fortunate that has eliminated all of that workload for me. It's all based in class, immediate feedback and conferencing the children, peer assessment, self-assessment. Everything's kind of run within the classroom. And for me, I now no longer take books home, which is a huge
brilliant.
Factor for me. And I do feel completely different as a person from this time last year when I was marking those books relentlessly.
I remember when you used to come down here and you'd have big sacks of books to mark, and that would be your weekend, and we'd maybe have a meal together, but all the rest of the time you were still working.
And we often take the books home saying these must be marked, and we would put them in the car, we would take them in, and it is an exhausting day as well, a school day, and sometimes the books wouldn't get marked, and we always had a little joke. We'd have these little trolleys in school, and sometimes we should just say that we took the books for a little walk last night, that they didn't get marked, and we'd come in early and have to get them marked and make up for it. But it doesn't always happen.
But it's one of those ones, it's the same in any profession really, about closing the day and you being able to, have the work done by the end of the day as much as you can, and closing your day. And, I always have the thing of trying to, give the example to people of if they finish their day at 5:30, by 4:45, have most of the to-do list done, and start to do your to-do list for the next day, and that sort of almost lets you close the day and walk out and go home. And I think that's one of the big things for you with the marking, but also the preparation for the next day.
I think that to-do list is something that never really ends, and I think understanding that you can't get everything finished is a big... I remember when I first started out and I just wanted to make sure that everything was perfect and everything was finished, and that understanding that you won't ever be on top of everything. That's not real life. So it's just prioritising what needs to be done that day, what really, really has to get completed. And yes, I might have to get up a little bit early or stay up a bit later to get those finished, but you must find that off switch, and making sure that you have a little bit of time for you is so important, because it is easy to feel burnt out if you are working up until 10, 11 at night and waking up again early.
Absolutely. I think when we were chatting earlier about this, I was thinking about the different contributors to resilience and the different contributors to you being able to handle pressures. And it comes from government, it comes from society, the pressures that people put on, but also, you've got the things that people can change for the positive, and your school management committee have helped from the point of view of having that policy, changing it round and to make it a supportive environment. So it's the same as any other job, where if you get a good supportive management, you actually feel more in control, feel more supported, and And then, so you've got that sort of stuff supporting it. And then you've got the stuff that you do yourself for that. So the resilience type stuff, the mindfulness that we've spoken about before. And I know you've used Headspace, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. And, I do it with the children, actually, that if they come over to me and they're completely panicked about a certain situation, if there's been an argument at break time or lunchtime, and we do some breathing together, and it's so powerful just to take a deep breath in and take 10 seconds. And there is science behind it, isn't there, just to get oxygen to your brain. But I say that to the children, let's reset, let's refresh, and they just take a minute, and it's so powerful, just some deep breathing.
Yeah, I always say big deep breath, count to 10, stretch out and loosen up, and usually by the time you got to 2 or 3 you stop the panic, and by the time you get to 6 or 7 you realise the thing isn't worth worrying about. By the time you get to 9 or 10 you've usually got a solution and you're all smiling again. Not exactly, but and it does definitely just take that peak of the pressure feeling off.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the other thing with mindfulness for me is that it's not just the use of it in an emergency situation, in a peak pressure situation. It's a way to actually decrease the turmoil in your own inner stress bucket. You've got more resilience then to deal with other things whenever other things come up, because you'll have 29 happy parents and one unhappy parent, and it's the one unhappy parent that you'll have. I don't mean literally slapping you in the face, but
nearly.
But that is extremely pressure. Tell me a wee bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just having those things at the forefront of your mind, and like you say, if that's at the end of the day, you could have had a lovely day. All of your lessons have gone well, and your children are all smiling, but that one parent that comes up to you and has a problem about something that you did last week, that will be at the forefront of your mind. And then you're driving home, and that is at the forefront of your mind, and it is hard to switch off. But I do think having that person, having that network of people around you who you can offload to. I always have my offloading time in my car. I have a half-hour drive home, and I make sure that I speak to my friends who are teachers, or my mum's a teacher as well. And yes, I'll offload, because we're human. We need to talk about these things, and we need to say, this has really upset me today. But I will make sure that car time, once that's finished and once I'm home, I don't bring that stress into my house, because there's no need for me to carry on. Yes, that parent was out of line, but that can be dealt with. There's nothing I can physically do at this moment. Exactly. Once I'm through this door, that's my time. I'm going to take my dog out and just chill, and that is really important to find as well.
That's a bit like the thing I was talking about earlier on about closing the day. And we've got some friends, and husband and wife were teachers, and they would drive home together, and they would moan in the car about work, but as soon as the car door shut and they opened their house door, they did not speak about work again. So again, like you, that half-hour drive is closing that day. So it's part of your working day in a way, part of your preparation for the next day, and then you just literally switch off it.
And being aware that right now that's off, and just being aware that that's your moment, and from this moment on, I'm me again now. I'm not a teacher. I'm just going to...
And actually, a lot of people worry about not doing something, I should be thinking about it, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Well, actually, you should be actually recharging your batteries. You should be actually, getting yourself into the strongest possible position for the next day as well. So it's an important part of rebooting. I
mean, I have struggled in the past with pushing all those things to the back of my mind, and it's easy to say, isn't it? Push it to the back, but things do play on your mind, and sometimes that can go into night time as well, when you're sitting there thinking, right, as soon as I get in, I must print this and I must talk to this adult. So sleep can get affected as well, but it is that kind of switching off and saying that there is physically nothing that can be done at the moment. Teachers love a to-do list. We are forever writing them. So I do sometimes wake up and say, right, what is it that I need to do? I write it down. It's there when I'm up.
I sometimes talk to people about sleep and say, get yourself comfortable, do your own mindfulness or whatever relaxation you like to do, and get yourself ready for your sleep, and go off to as you allow yourself to go to sleep. And if you waken in the middle of the night, realise that there's nothing you can do about it at that time. Yes, you could write a note, but don't even bother writing, switching on the light to do it. Just do a scribble, and so that you remember it. And ideally, don't even bother with that. And there's such a great strength whenever you realise that you don't need to worry, and it doesn't actually make any difference. And so just get yourself comfortable again and allow yourself to go to sleep, and don't even think about worrying about going to sleep.
Reminding yourself of the off switch again, I suppose. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And not even that you have to necessarily switch the off switch off. It's like one of these ones that'll just gradually go off with time. That you don't have to go, I have to go to sleep, or I have to switch this off. It's like your TV that goes off after a certain time. When the old test card used to come on the TV, you won't remember that, but if you lay awake at night, if you fell asleep with the TV, the test card would come on at like 12:30. Anyway, okay, I know I'm old. Anyway. Yeah, so that's great, Laura. And, any other things that you do as a personal thing to, deal with, what do you do in the rest of your life with, sport or...
Yeah, I do think exercising is so important, just to give yourself that different life away from the school. And I really enjoy exercise. It is that chance that I can't do anything. I haven't got any books here. I'm not thinking about lessons. This is just time for me. And I do think those little time for yourself is just so important. And just, you do have to make time for yourself. It's important to have your little relaxation things. If you book yourself in for a massage and you have that to look forward to, having that when you've got that parent shouting at you, I do have those things in my mind as well to say, relax, something nice is coming up, and those kind of things are very important for me as well.
I wouldn't tell that parent that that's what you're thinking about at the time.
Keep it right at the back.
Yeah, just keep it at the back. It's a strategy rather than a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were, if you've got, student teachers and things that come in, if you were talking to somebody who was in that, those first 2 years where you're really finding your feet about managing a class, and how would you tell them to, so that they became one of the 30-something% that aren't feeling stressed? How would you help them along that?
I mean, I follow a few teaching pages on different social media sites, and I often see posts from NQTs, newly qualified teachers who are just about to start in their very first classroom, and they put up these beautiful pictures of their classrooms. They've got friends or family members to make them certain things. They've been out and bought books. They've spent hours on certain displays. I saw a teacher turn her whole classroom into Hogwarts because that was going to be their class book. Yeah. And these things are amazing. They really, really are. But it's that keeping up, next term there'll be a different topic. Are you physically able to put that much effort in? And the reality is no. So it is doing what's relevant. Don't aim too high. Make sure that your lessons and everything, that's your priority, that you are being a fantastic teacher. And you need to recharge to make sure that you need to find that off switch to make sure that you can be a fantastic teacher the next day. Make sure that you find the humour in your lessons and remember why you get into teaching. It's to work with the children, to make sure these children have the best education that you can physically provide for them. And I would just say when people do start out, it is all about making sure their book corner looks beautiful and things like that. But you just need to take it all back to your roots of, I'm a great teacher, and just keep remembering that. Yeah. And I would definitely say that to-do list will never get done. There's always things that need to be done. Prioritising the to-do list is so important.
Well, I always say to people, you can't be 100% for 100% of the people 100% of the time. But like 75%, first class honours. So we get so upset about being a little bit behind about something, and as long as you get it into perspective and you You don't let any big things fall behind. If you are, then you get help from someone, and you put your hand up. You know, whether it's discussing it with colleagues. You know, society is so important about helping you deal with things as well, you know, as in society, as in friends, as in other teachers. And,
yeah, hugely. And they're all going through the same thing as well. You know, you can often feel very isolated in your classroom, being the only teacher there against 30 children. But actually, walk down the corridor, go and see that other person that you know is having a difficult time, and just share, because at the end of the day, you're all there for the exact same reasons. You're in a different year group or phase or whatever, but everybody is there for the children.
I know you've lots of your friends are teachers, and if you talk to people who aren't teachers, how do they ever raise their pressures, or, you know, can you help them in any way?
I do. So I do get envious of their jobs in ways that once their day is over, that's it. Yeah. Whereas the teachers, you know, we're always thinking about the next, or what hasn't been completed, or that's never going to stop. There's no real way. Yes, you can eliminate certain things like the marking, and certain things can be made easier, but it's always going to be a high pressure environment, because you've got 30 little children looking up to you and following your every word, so it's never going to be an easy job. But yeah, I think you know, it's a really rewarding job as well. You definitely.
know, when you say about, when you're saying 30 little children looking up at you, they're looking up at you and they're looking up to you, and you know, it's such a privilege. I think at the end of each year, and your kids move on, and I think some of your kids have moved on totally out of the school this year, haven't they?
Yeah, it is lovely, and it's those moments, you know. Yesterday I was opening up my cards at the end of the year, and
great.
your little children that write you these really heartfelt messages, and you think, this is why I got into this job. It is a fantastic job to have, and you do just need to keep reminding yourself, put those up on your wall just to keep you going in those difficult days. That they, you know, it is a fantastic job to have.
And going back to your off switch, you're going to go back into work next week to get next year's planning done.
Yeah, I was at a course and somebody said about how frustrating it can be when people say, "Oh, 6 weeks just to chill." You know, there is a lot of preparation that needs to happen, and this man was calling it non-contact time instead of the holidays. Yeah, because your children aren't around. I quite like that.
Sounds brilliant. Well, look, I hope you have some lovely non-contact time this summer, and I know that some of it's going to be spent with me. So yeehaw! Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Laura. It's been lovely talking to you, as it always is.
Thank you very much.
I hope you found that podcast interesting. I certainly did, as a parent, reflecting with my own daughter on how she's handling the pressures of life and the pressures of teaching. And hopefully there'll be some pointers in that will help you in your own life, in whatever your job is. Thanks again for listening and being in healthy company with Dr. Tim Stevenson. You can find out much more at my website, thehealthycompany.com. If there are any areas of health and wellbeing that you would like us to explore in future podcasts, or you have any feedback, then please do email me at wellbeing@thehealthycompany.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.